Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me for another 30-minute online chakra flow class. Today we're going to be working with our fifth key energy center, which is located in our throat. It's called the Vishuddha Chakra or the throat chakra. You can visualize it as a beautiful blue spinning disc of energy, and we're going to be working with some opening postures for our throat and some compression postures, opening up through the opening up through the back of the neck and compressing through the front to make sure we direct the energy there. We're also going to be working a lot with our Ujjayi pranayama, lots of mental cues to keep us focused on keeping that activated, to make the breath audible and to keep that fresh energy traveling throughout the body. As we're working with the neck, please move really gently. Don't take any postures that feel uncomfortable, and if you have got recurring neck issues or injuries, please go very gently and make sure not to move the neck into any extreme ranges of motion, whether it be twist, flexion or extension. That being said, I hope you enjoy the class. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. We'll start with our spinal warm-up to make sure we've moved the spine in all directions before we take it any further. So pay special attention to your neck here. Notice how you're feeling. As well in the shoulders, you may feel a little bit tight. Just become aware of these sensations so that when we move into the deeper postures, the deeper flexion, extension, and lateral extension of the neck, you may notice if it's a little bit tighter. So we're going to start in our little warm-up. So bring your right hand to the outside of the right hip. Inhale, extend up through those left fingertips. As we exhale, we'll side bend over towards the right. Your elbow may or may not come down to the floor, but focus more on grounding through both sit bones, spiraling the chest up towards the ceiling, maybe even looking up. Again, just tuning into how that feels on the neck, moving it into a twist. Especially if you're practicing first thing in the morning, it could feel a little bit tight. Inhale, extend, reach both fingertips up. Exhale, left hand to the outside of the left hip. Inhale, reach up through those right fingertips. Exhale, side bend over towards the left. Looking up towards the ceiling, grounding through both sit bones, opening through the chest and the shoulders. Deep breath, beginning to connect to your Ujjayi pranayama, breathing in and out through the nose. Small restriction to the back of the throat as you exhale. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, right hand to the outside of the right hip, left hand towards the right knee. As we inhale, we draw up through the crown of the head, create space. As we exhale, we twist, beginning to peek out over that right shoulder. As we inhale, come through center, reach up. Exhale, left hand to the outside of the left hip, right hand towards the left knee. On your breath in, draw up through the crown of the head. Exhale, twist. And again, maybe looking out over the left shoulder, just notice how you're feeling as you move your cervical spine, the cervical vertebrae, into a twist. Notice how it feels. Notice if there's any tightness in the tendons or the muscular tissue around in your shoulders. As we inhale, draw up, reach up through the fingertips. Exhale to release down. We'll come into our tabletop position. So hands and knees, wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, feet flat out behind you. As we inhale, we move into our cow pose, crown of the head up, chest forward, belly down, tailbone comes up. As we exhale, we round the spine, lifting into cat pose, crown of the head releases down, shoulder blades lifted and separated, belly draws in. Take two more of each at your own pace, following your own breath rhythms. Staying connected to your Ujjayi pranayama. The breath should be audible. Use it as a cue to guide yourself through the postures. And on your next breath in, come back to a neutral spine. We'll come into our first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So bring your fingertips forward slightly. Check that the fingers are spread nice and wide, grounding through all 10 knuckles and all 10 finger pads. Tuck the toes under and lift the sit bones up and back towards the ceiling. Keep the knees bent to start with and focus more on extending the sit bones up towards the ceiling, moving the pelvis into more of a anterior tilt. Lifting the tailbone up and allowing the chest to melt back towards the thighs. You can always drop to the shins as well, coming into either Anahatasana, heart melting pose, downward puppy it's sometimes called, or a child's pose or a tabletop. If you're beginning to feel a little bit of space along the backs of the legs as you get more comfortable here, you can begin to press either one heel at a time or both heels down towards the floor. Looking back to either, your toes, your knees, or your belly button, depending on where feels most comfortable for your neck. And then on your next breath in, look forward to the space between the hands in as many steps as you need. You're going to walk forward to a ragdoll. So feet hips distance apart or even a bit wider, knees bent. You can take opposite hand to opposite elbow or let your arms hang heavy as you bring some soft, gentle movements through the spine. Taking any intuitive movements that feel good. Maybe letting that movement work its way through to your neck and your head as well. Notice how you're feeling. We want to make as much space as possible through the front of our neck, our throat chakra, and we want to be able to draw the energy inwards. Release a hold of the elbows, staying strong and rooted through the feet and bent through the knees. Begin to roll up the spine, stacking one vertebrae at a time over your hips, slowly as you need to come all the way back up. Okay, Samastiti, big toes touching, a little bit of space between the heels or feet hips distance apart, flat edges of the feet parallel. Tailbone draws down, your quadriceps are nice and engaged, your belly button draws back towards your spine and up towards your rib cage. Shoulders up and away from the ears, palms face forward, chin parallel with the floor. Samastiti. Okay, so we're going to take 3 rounds of 3 in Namaskar A just to make sure we've moved all the muscle groups, all the joint groups before we take it any further. They're designed to warm you up, so hopefully you're feeling a little bit more energized and a little bit more activated from the inside out. Okay, first round modified, then some up level options. As we inhale, bring the arms up overhead, shoulders away from the ears, look forward, keep those low ribs drawn in. As you exhale, bend the knees, hinge forward from the hips, hands to thighs, shins, or towards the floor. As we inhale, draw the palms up the legs, lengthen the spine, lift the chest, the shoulders draw away from the ears. As you exhale, bend the knees enough that you can plant both hands on the mat. Stepping back to plank, knees can be lifted or lowered as we lower down onto our bellies. Inhale, tops of the feet flat, baby cobra, elbows drawn into ribs, chest lifted, looking forward. As we exhale, forehead releases down. Coming back to hands and knees, tuck the toes under. Downward facing dog. Knees can be as bent or as straight as feels good to you here. Chest melting back towards the thighs, sit bones lifting up, looking towards the toes, knees or belly button. There should be no strain in the neck or the head. And remember, you can always drop to the knees as well. This can feel quite active in the backs of the legs. It's quite a strength building posture as well for the arms. So remember to rest if you need to. As we inhale, look forward to the space between the hands. In as many steps as you need, come forward to that halfway lift. As we exhale, bend the knees, the crown of the head releases down. As we inhale, come up with a straight spine, bring the arms out in front, come all the way up, keep those low ribs drawn in, tailbone draws down. Exhale, Samastiti. Second round, inhale, arms up overhead. This time, maybe draw the palms of the hands together and look up towards the thumbs. Keep the shoulders away from the ears and the low ribs drawn in. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, hands down towards the floor. As we inhale, halfway lift the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale, plant the hands, step or jump back. Chaturanga. So if you jump back, make sure you land with bent elbows. Inhale, maybe upward facing dog. Arms towards straight, knees lifted, quadriceps engaged. Exhale, you can either flip the feet or roll over the toes, downward facing dog. Remember to take whichever variation feels good to you. You don't have to try all the up level options, but you might want to mix and match. Maybe certain things feel nice. Maybe you're open through the front body, so an upward dog feels nice, but jumping back through chaturanga, that can be quite an intense posture. So just move gently with your practice and accept yourself for where you are today. And that may be different from where you were yesterday. As we inhale,
look forward, step, or maybe if it's in your practice, you can try jumping forward, bending the knees, keeping active through the legs, hips stay high. Land lightly, lengthen the spine. Exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, Samasthiti, last round. Inhale, arms up. Stop that belly from bumming out and the bum from sticking out the back by drawing the low ribs in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Couple of deep breaths, reconnecting to your Ujjayi Pranayama. Small restriction to the back of the throat as you exhale, lifting those hips high, belly towards thighs, looking towards your toes, knees or belly button. As we inhale, look forward, step or float. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms in front, come all the way up. Exhale, Samasthiti. As we inhale, we step the right foot to the back of the mat. The right toes come out to the side, the left toes come in slightly. Arms out to shoulder height as we exhale. Inhale, draw up through the crown of the head, create space. Exhale, reach forward with those right fingertips. Bring the right hand to thigh, shin, floor, or block if you've got a block. And you can look down towards the right big toe, or you can look up towards the top thumb. I've just realised I'm not mirroring you on this side, so just bear that in mind. If you've done it over the left leg instead, you just go over the right leg next time. As we inhale, look down towards the toe, staying strong through that leg, come all the way back up. Bring the right toes in slightly, left toes out, heel to arch alignment, exhale. Inhale, create space, draw up. Exhale, reach those left fingertips forward, left hand thigh, shin, floor or block. And focus on where you're feeling the stretch in the neck. So if it does feel comfortable looking up towards that hand, notice how it feels to create space along the left side. Notice the strength in your neck as well. Do you feel like you're straining to lift it up towards the ceiling? Or do you feel more like you're just kind of hanging out here? As we inhale, look down towards the toe, come all the way back up to center. Bring both toes in now slightly. Exhale, hands towards the waist. We're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana to have a nice release of the neck. Inhale, lengthen, look up, lift the chest. As we exhale, we hinge forward from the hips. You can keep your hands on the waist or bring the hands towards the floor in line with the feet, about shoulder distance apart. You can also bring your hands to a block if that feels more accessible. With each breath in, we lengthen, lift the chest. And then as we exhale, the crown of the head releases down. Notice how it feels to have no strain in the neck of the head. Let it just release down here towards the floor. Crown of the head may even reach the floor if you're super flexible. And just check in as well. The quadriceps should be nice and active, keeping those inner thighs active to help stabilize the legs. And just notice if you're shifting the weight back. So if you find your butt's kind of sticking out the back, it may mean that your weight's gone back into the heels too much. Just try and draw it back in line so that the weight is evenly distributed between the toes and the balls of the feet as well. Nice and strong through the legs. Looking off the tip of the nose. Steady breath, steady gaze. Inhale, lengthen the arms, look forward, lift the chest. Exhale here. Inhale, bring the hands back to the waist, come all the way back up to center. As we exhale, we'll step forward to Samasthiti in as many steps as you need. We're going to come into Parivartanasana, intense side stretch pose now. So you're going to bring your hands into either opposite hand to opposite elbow behind your back, or if it feels comfortable, reverse prayer, so opening up through the collarbone a little bit as well. You're going to step your right foot to the back of the mat, heel to heel alignment or feet hips distance apart. Lengthen the spine, lift the chest, square the hips off to the short edge of the mat. And as we exhale, we hinge forward. So chin towards shin, looking towards the right big toe. Notice if that right hip is sticking out to the side, bring it back in line with the left. You may need to widen the stance a little bit. And try to focus on drawing the shoulders away from the ears, the elbows back, and the heels of the hands together if you're in reverse prayer. Nice and long through the spine. Think chin to shin. Nice extension through the front of the neck, opening up through the throat chakra, Vishuddha Chakra. Allow the energy to travel there freely. Inhale. Come all the way back up to center, leading with the chest. If you can, keep the bind. As we swivel the feet, realign your feet as you need to. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hinge forward. Chin towards shin. Steady breath. Feel as you breathe in the journey travel, especially through your throat chakra. Notice the breath traveling as you create the restriction to the back of the throat. That lovely audible ocean-like sound in your breath. Know that that's letting fresh energy travel. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, Samastiti to the front of the mat. We're going to come into our balancing posture. So we're going to come into Vrikshasana tree pose with the option for looking up as well to again extend up through the throat chakra. So you may want to come to a wall here. This is a really useful tool for sort of supporting you as you learn the muscle memory of the posture, and then one day when you come away from the wall, you don't have to kind of relearn the posture so much. So start by grounding through the left foot. Externally rotate the right leg to the right. So that might just be heel to ankle, toes on the floor, that's fine. Maybe sole of the foot towards the calf. Make sure you avoid the knee, don't put any pressure on the knee. Maybe sole of the foot towards the inner thigh. So you can bring your palms together at the heart center. If you're struggling with your balance here, then obviously I recommend looking down. But if you wanted to focus more on opening up through the throat chakra, even if it means finding a wall, it could be really useful to maybe bring your arms up overhead and even look up. So you might not be able to see my hands in shot, but you can bring your arms to shoulder distance apart, or you can bring your palms together and look up towards the thumbs. Or if you feel more balanced, you can bring your palms to heart center and then just continue to look up, opening through the front of the neck. Vishuddha Chakra, nice steady breath. Keep practicing your Ujjayi pranayama. And find one point that doesn't move, whichever direction you're looking in. And then come back to neutral. Inhale, knee to center, and release. Wherever you can, always bring the knee back to the center line before releasing, just to make sure it's nice and safe. Externally rotating the left leg, heel to ankle, sole of the foot towards the calf, or sole of the foot towards the inner thigh, and you'll definitely feel different on one side. Be mindful of that. You may need to find a wall or a different variation for this side. Again, so palms to heart center. Of course, you can look down or look straight ahead. If you wanted to work with opening through the front of the throat chakra, you can begin to look up, either keeping the palms at heart center or bringing the arms up overhead, keeping them shoulder distance apart or palms together, looking towards the thumbs. Okay, so really challenging balance here. Staying nice and strong and grounded through that right foot, the roots of your tree, as you open up through the left side of the hip. Steady breath, making that audible ocean-like sound. Feeling your throat chakra with that loving energy for your communication. As we inhale, look back to center, bring the knee back to center, and exhale to release. And shake out the legs. We're going to come through to our seated sequence. So we're going to come through as a vinyasa, You can take the vinyasa, or if you wanted, you can just come to seat. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. And then to come through to seated, you can either just drop to the shins or bring your right knee to right wrist, left knee to left wrist, cross the ankles and sit through. If jumping through is in your practice, you can jump through as well. We're going to come into Paschimottanasana. Nice and long through the spine here, creating space along the front side of the body as we stretch out through the hamstrings and we stretch through the back of the body. So we're going to be opening up through the back of the neck as well. So firstly, you can come into Dandasana, bring the palms of the hands to the outside of the hips, lengthening the spine, toes flex back towards you. This is the first option. Or you can take peace fingers around the big toes, inhale to lengthen, exhale to fold. Okay, so this may feel a little bit out of reach. You can always place a strap over the feet, or you can bend the knees slightly. With each breath in, we create space, we lengthen, we draw the crown of the head away from the tailbone. As we exhale, we fold a little bit deeper. So try to visualize yourself with each breath in, you get longer, the crown of the head comes closer towards the toes, and as you exhale, you go deeper. So slowly over time, you'll come into a fuller expression of the posture, but just remember to work with your own body, never force. As we inhale, head up, look forward. Exhale. Inhale, come all the way back up to center. We're going to come into Ustrasana, camel pose, which is quite an intense back bend. I'm going to offer up a couple of different variations. We're going to come onto our shins. And we're going to come into kind of a high kneeling posture. So make sure that your knees are hips distance apart and your feet, are flat out behind you. So you can either have your tops of the feet flat, or you can have your toes tucked, depending on how you feel today. We're going to bring our hands to our lower back. You can either have the fingertips around the sides of the body. This is personally more comfortable in my wrists, but if you can, palms of the hands flat, so the fingertips face down, elbows back behind you. As we inhale, we lengthen, we lift the chest, look up. As we exhale, trying to keep the hips over the knees or even pressed forward slightly, begin to recline back, making sure that you have a comfortable position for the neck. If you're feeling nice and open here, you can begin to take a hold of the heels of the feet. If the toes are flexed, this will be a little bit easier. Allow the head to release back behind you, but try to avoid just flopping the head back. So make sure it's a controlled movement as we open up through the throat chakra. Looking back behind you. As always, if it's not comfortable, don't look back, just keep a neutral position for the neck. One more breath. And then as we inhale, bring the hands back to the lower back if they weren't already. Come all the way up, release the feet to flat, and just sit down on your heels for a breath. Noticing how you feel, opening up through the heart, the throat, all of the front line of the body really can be very healing, but it can reveal a lot of built up samskaras or emotional scars. So you can often end up feeling quite emotional with heart openers and chest openers and back bends. So just be mindful of that. We're obviously trying to open up through the throat chakra, but we're opening up through the heart as well. So all these bonuses. We're going to come to lay down on our backs and we're going to come into Setu Bandhasana. We're going to take either 2 rounds of Setu Bandhasana or 1 round of Setu Bandhasana and 1 round of Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow. So if you're familiar with the posture, just come into it with me. If you're not sure, make sure you watch me first. So we're going to come down to lay on the back. Bring the feet in line with the hips. Make sure the knees are in line with the hips and the ankles, not falling out to the side. The toes of the feet are in slightly, so the flat edges of the feet are parallel with the flat edges of the mat. Bring your arms alongside the body, palms face down. Bring the pelvis into a posterior tilt, tailbone reaches back towards the backs of the knees as we lift the hips up. Okay, you're more than welcome to stay here. If you wanted to move into a chest expansion, getting a little bit more of a compression through the throat, you can roll onto the tops of the shoulders, interlace the fingers behind the back. So constantly trying to bring the chest towards the chin and then bring the chin away from the chest. Okay, notice how this feels in the neck as you try to breathe deeper. It can feel a little bit more restrictive. Try to connect your Ujjayi Pranayama. Looking up towards the ceiling. One more breath in. Exhale, release the bind. Okay, so you're welcome to come into that again. If you wanted to try Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow, then bringing the palms of the hands next to the ears, fingers facing towards the toes. Keep the feet in the same position. Make sure they don't splay out to the side. As we inhale, we lift up first to the crown of the head. Check your alignment. Check that the elbows are over the wrists. And then from here, begin to extend back, bringing the chest towards the wall behind you. Finding a neutral position for your head and your neck. Pressing through the legs to begin to push the chest through. Make sure the knees aren't falling out to the side as we open up through the whole of the front body. When you're ready to come out, chin to chest, and very gently roll down. Okay, our counter posture is going to be Apanasana. Gently, very, very gently, knees in towards the chest. So don't try to avoid crunching into a little ball. Instead, stay nice and long through the spine. Make sure the entire length of the spine is grounded into the mat, and then bring gentle movements in. If you're ever doing a back bend practice, which this is a back bend practice, make sure that you finish your back bends before you come into your counter posture. So obviously we just did camel, we did Setu Bandhasana, and then we did Urdhva Dhanurasana. So we've done 3 back bends, and now we're coming into our counter posture. Try to avoid, say, coming into camel and then child's pose, then coming into a back bend, then relaxing, because it's important that we don't slingshot the spine in too many directions too quickly. So finish your back bends first and then release with a nice little passive hug of the knees or a forward fold. Okay, fantastic. Now we're going to come into our inversions. So this is going to be another compression for the throat. We're going to be opening up through the back of the neck, and we're going to be compressing slightly in the front of the neck. Be very mindful of this. If anyone has high blood pressure, glaucoma, ladies on their menstrual cycle, or any neck issues at all, please come into legs up the wall pose by coming to a wall, bringing your legs up, or you can place a block underneath the sacrum, the flat part of the spine, and lift your legs up towards the ceiling. If you're comfortable and you wanted to take Sarvangasana, shoulder stand, we're also going to move into Halasana, plow pose, and Garnapadasana, ear pressure pose, which we haven't done before, I don't think. So this is going to be a little different, okay? If you're not sure where you're going, always watch me first, okay? So arms alongside the body, palms face down. As we exhale, firstly bring the knees towards the forehead. You can stay here, bring your hands towards your lower back. Okay, if you wanted to take it into full Sarvangasana, you can begin to bring your legs towards straight. They don't have to reach straight, they're just heading in that direction. Glutes activated, toes back. Begin to point the toes as well. Steady breath, and try pressing through the shoulders and the back of the head. So this relieves a bit of stress on the back of the neck. The shoulders and the back of the head are stronger points to try and press through to release that tension. Notice how it feels to breathe here. Maybe the Ujjayi Pranayama even sounds a little bit deeper here. It certainly does for me when I'm trying to talk. I can feel it beginning to activate anyway without me trying to. And then if you wanted to stay here, you can stay here. If you wanted to move into Halasana, then begin to bring your legs behind you. Toes may or may not reach the floor. If they don't reach the floor and you wanted to modify by placing them on a block or a cushion, you can do that as well. And interlace the fingers. Little finger side of the hand comes down towards the mat. Again, strong through the shoulders and the back of the head to relieve the stress on the neck. Ultimately, your hips will be over your shoulders, your toes will be on the floor, and the legs will be working towards straight, stretching out the hamstrings. But just be mindful of where you are today. And then we're going to move into Karna Padasana, ear pressure pose, which is kind of a funny one. Be mindful as well. You may not be able to hear me because your ears will be covered. So we'll be here for about 5 breaths. We're going to bring our knees down to the outsides of the ears, and then our feet together, squeezing the ears in with our inner thighs. And then as we exhale, knees to forehead, arms alongside the body, palms flat to act as brakes as you very gently roll down the spine. Well done. Just notice how you feel here. Our counter posture after having that compression in the front of the neck is going to be Matsyasana, fish pose, which is going to be a lovely big opener of the front side of the throat. So sit up on your elbows as if you're kind of propped up to look at me. You can stay here with elbows underneath your shoulders if this feels nice, or you can bring the thumbs underneath the sit bones. Remember that if this doesn't feel comfortable, you can just come to lay down on your back as well in Shavasana. As we inhale, we lift the chest, draw the chest away from the shoulders, lengthen, lift the crown of the head away, and then back down towards the floor, opening through the throat. Notice how it feels to breathe here. It's probably going to be quite hard to activate your Ujjayi Pranayama in this posture, but try to breathe deeply. Try to still visualize that beautiful blue energy traveling to your throat chakra. And then as you exhale, chin to chest, look forward, release the thumbs, and then very gently roll back down onto the mat. We're just going to come into our little twist, Supta Parivartajasana, reclined twist. If you have another twist that you'd like to take, feel free to take that. Draw the knees in towards the chest, bring the arms out to either a capital T or a goalpost position. As we exhale, we lower the knees over to the right. Looking over to the left, getting the twist through the cervical spine, through the neck as well. Always nice to finish the practice with a twist. It just helps store all the work we've done, neutralizes the spine as well, especially as we've gone into some quite extreme ranges of flexion and extension. So just to make sure we bring them back to a neutral position. It's always nice to twist. Inhale, coming through center. Exhale, lower the knees over to the left, looking out towards the right hand to make sure that the twist goes through the cervical spine as well. Keep connecting to your Ujjayi Pranayama. As we inhale, bring the knees back to center, give them a little squeeze. And we're just going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana just for a few breaths. Bring the soles of the feet together, allow the knees to fall open to the sides. Bring the left hand to your heart, your right hand to your belly. Softly close your eyes. And use this opportunity to deepen your breath. Stay connected to your Ujjayi Pranayama. Visualize that beautiful blue energy traveling through to your throat, filling you with clear and loving communication, clarity and sincerity to yourself and to others. Take one more deep breath. Use your hands to help you bring your knees back to center. Release your legs long, bringing them out to the front corners of the mat. Release your arms alongside the body with the palms facing up. Close your eyes if they weren't already. And release your Ujjayi Pranayama. Allow your gentle, soft, natural breath to return. Feel heavy and supported by the earth beneath you as all the wonderful work you've done begins to process in the body. I recommend you stay in your Shavasana for at least another few minutes if you have the time today. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. As you go forward, I wish you peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart. Namaste.